Good Friday morning, everybody. I'm trying to get this stand setting up so I can show the cards and the score sheet the best. Got a little bit out of whack there. So hopefully that's a good representation right there. We are at game number 312 in the replay, the final game on May the 28th, 1987. And it's the Milwaukee Brewers taking on the Minnesota Twins. Mike Birkbeck making his final start of the season. This is his last start in real world, so he will make his final start of the season. Then he will be, I'm assuming he gets injured and misses the rest of the season. And then Juan Berenguer has come out of the bullpen. He will be getting a spot start for the Minnesota Twins. Brewers enter the game 27-14. They're a half game back of the Yankees. And Minnesota is 4 games back of Oakland. They are 22-23. So a victory today, of course, gets them back to the even 500 mark. We are at the hitter-friendly Metrodome. Singles are 1-16 for left, 1-13 for right. Homers are 1-11 for both. All right. Happy Friday to everybody. And, of course, got to have the tools of the trade. Can't get a game going without that. And as Jeff likes to say, that's good coffee. Hey, great. It's good to see you. Actually, since you mentioned that, I will be playing 2 games today. Around 1 o'clock this afternoon, we'll be playing the National League game from of the week or game of the day, I should say, for the National League on May the 28th, 1987. That's something I started doing with the previous date where I played Pittsburgh and Houston. This afternoon will be Atlanta and St. Louis. It's the only game scheduled for May 28th, so my decision was very, very easy. So it'll be Atlanta and St. Louis around 1 o'clock today from Busch Stadium. So we get a chance to watch some of the 87 National League, get to use the pitcher hitting cards, non-DH, and I just love that. So that's what we'll be doing around 1 o'clock today. No games tonight. And then tomorrow around noon, we'll be replaying game one of the World Series game that gets played tonight between Toronto and LA. We'll be replaying that exact game at noon on History Maker Baseball and see how the History Maker Baseball engine will work for that. Of course, you can't do that in Strat or anything else because the cards don't come out for a couple months. So History Maker is about the only game I can think of. I think APA, there's a way to make cards, but I don't know if there is, a good way to do it. But the good thing about History Maker Baseball is very easy to make those cards. All right, so let's look at the pitching matchup. Juan Berenguer is 1-0, but he really has spent most of the year so far in the bullpen. So as we look at Berenguer, let's see here. See if I can pull up his full. He's got a 3.89. Let's see. Well, first of all, in real world, let's look at his real world numbers. He was 8-1 with a 3.94 ERA. That's what he did in the 87 season. Right now, and he had 4 saves out of the bullpen. Right now, he's 1-0 with 1 save and an ERA of 3.89. 37 innings pitched, 33 hits, 14 walks, and 40 strikeouts. And as I look at his other numbers on the computer here, looks like this is actually going to be his second start. He started 6 games during the season. This will be start number 2. So he's already had 1 start earlier in the season. But still, he's mainly a relief pitcher, but he's a swing guy. He pitched 112 innings. So, and you can see his starter, he gets a fatigue of 6. That's pretty good for a starter, and relief of 3. So he definitely can chew some innings if need be. All right, so we're ready to go here in the Metrodome. Final game for the May 28th block. And, of course, May 29th, we got all sorts of stuff. I believe May 28th was a Thursday in 1987. So we'll be finishing up this Thursday, and next week we'll be hitting the Friday games for May the 29th. Hello, Chuck. Good to see you. All right, so Paul Molitor on the replay is hitting .409, but he does not have enough at bats to qualify for the league lead because he was injured for a lot of the month of April. I'm sorry, a lot of the month of May. He was out beginning of the month, so he only has 88 at bats. That's not enough to qualify, but he's still hitting .409 either way. 6 homers, 29 driven in. Real world, he hit .353. So excellent hitter, Paul Molitor. 5-6, and that's going to be a strikeout. So Berenguer gets the strikeout on Molitor to start the ball game. And that'll bring up Robin Yount, center fielder. Yount hitting .327, 10 homers, 39 driven in on the replay, hit .312 real world. 2-6, and that's a single to center field for Robin Yount. 1 out single. The hold quotient is -1 for Berenguer. He's a -1. Laudner's a 0. But Robin Yount needs a 5 or 6 to obtain a good lead. He gets the 6, so he's going to go 16, being held as a 14, and then the -1's a 13. So 1 to 13, and he will steal it. Lombardozzi has a throw error chance of a T8. But a 1 to 13, he's safe. And he's in there right at the number. Stolen base for Robin Yount. Just snuck in there with the stolen base. So Yount's in scoring position, and that brings up the venerable Cecil Cooper, the designated hitter. On the replay, is hitting .225, 5 homers, 14 driven in. He hit .248 in the '87 season. So Cooper looking to do some damage. 1-8, but he will not. He will strike out. Berenguer, his second strikeout. And now we're down to a clutch situation for Rob Deere. Speaking of strikeouts, look at his card. All those strikeouts he's got there. Deere, 6 homers, 23 driven in, hitting .240 on the replay. Hit .238 real world. In the clutch, that's a 2. Well, first of all, before we check the clutch, we'll check the balk or pass ball chances. That's a balk chance. Berenguer's balk rating is a 0. His wild pitch is an 11, but his balk rating's a 0, so nothing to worry about there. Clutch rating for Deere, he is completely neutral except for 3-2. He does gain a hit on 3-2. But that's a 4-8, and it's another strikeout. Berenguer strikes out the side here in the top of the first. And aside from the Yount single and stolen base, he dispatches the Brewers. And we go to the bottom of the first. Milwaukee nothing, Minnesota coming to bat, and Mike Birkbeck will be up. In fact, I got a message on the Strat computer saying that Birkbeck has exceeded his usage, and I still want to use him in this game. And I'm like, yes, it's an as played, so I have to. So Birkbeck on the real season was 1-4 with a .620 earned run average, pitching 45 innings. In the replay, he has done much better. He's 4-3 with a .368, so we've used him more than they probably should have. He's already pitched 51 innings. So that's the reason why the overusage came up, because he's doing better in the replay, so I didn't yank him the way they did in real world. As long as he was under his 5 starter, I left him out there. So, but this will be officially his last start, his last appearance in the replay right here for Mike Birkbeck. All right, so Dan Gladden will lead off for Minnesota. He's hitting .238 on the replay, 3 homers, 11 driven in. He hit .243 real world. We get a 3-7, and that's a strikeout. So how about that? What is this, 2024 or 2025? All these strikeouts. All 4 outs have come via the strikeout. Here comes Greg Gagne, the shortstop, and he's hitting .346 in the replay. 2 homers, 15 driven in. He hit .265, I believe. Yep, .265 real world, but in the replay, he is hitting .346. Doing very well. 4-9, and that's trouble there for Birkbeck. 1 to 12 is a home run. That's a 1, and Gagne has normal power, so that is gone. Greg Gagne, his 3rd home run. He hit 10 in the real season. This is his 3rd home run, and his 16th run batted in. Look at it again. 4-9 is an in-home run. 1 to 12, and that's a 1, and he has normal power. So Greg Gagne hits his 3rd home run, and he hit 10 real world. This was at bat number 108, and he had 437 real world. So he's about 25% through, and his home runs are about 30%. So he's not too far off that. So the home run from Gagne makes it a 1-0 Twins lead. And here's Kirby Puckett hitting .330 on the replay. 7 homers, 23 driven in. He hit .332 real world. It's a 1-7 for Puckett, and that's a solid single. So Birkbeck might not get too far in this game the way he's going. This may be one of these games that gets pulled early. Birkbeck is a +2. He's a +2 hold, and Surhoff's a 0, so good chance here for Kirby to get a lead and try to get a steal. 4, 5, or 6 gets him the lead. Does not get the lead. He will hold. Here's Kent Herbeck. Herbeck on the replay hitting 318, 13 homers, 38 driven in, and he hit 285 real world. 6-6 left-hander is a fly to center where Yount puts it away, 2 down. And that'll send up Gary Gaetti, first baseman. Gaetti hitting 218 on the replay, 8 homers, 34 driven in, a little bit struggling. Hit 257 real world. Gaetti, 6'9", and that's a ballpark blast. And in the Metrodome, that's usually a good sign. That's an 11, and that's a 10. So the Homer Dome shows up. Gary Gaetti goes deep on Birkbeck, 6'9", ballpark blast, 1-11. That's a 10. You know Gaetti's got normal power. So a 2-run home run for Gary Gaetti. And Yankee and Blue Jay fans are loving this as the Brewers are getting blasted 3-0 early. As we get a 2-run home run from Gaetti to top the solo shot by Gagne. For Gaetti, that is home run number 9, and he hit 34 real world. So in at bat 189 of the replay, he gets his 9th homer and 35th and 36th runs batted in, and the Twins lead it 3-0. We'll bring up the designated hitter Gene Larkin. Larkin hitting 389, just 18 at bats though, so take that with a grain of salt. A homer and 5 driven in. 3-6, and that's a home run chance, 1-2. That's an 18 though, so he'll settle with a double, but they are just teeing off on Birkbeck. And for the Brew Crew, this could be a bullpen day because Birkbeck may not last. All right, here's Brunansky. Maybe I should have paid attention to the Strat computer telling me Birkbeck had overstepped his usage. Hello, Bart, and hello, Dan. Good to see both of you. Another sip of the coffee. Got to have that. Maybe Birkbeck needs some coffee. I don't know. He's just not doing so well. Here's Brunansky. He's hitting 296 on the replay. 7 homers, 20 driven in. Real world, he hit 259. Larkin at second. It's a clutch situation. So look at the card for Brunansky. He loses a hit on 1-2, and everywhere else he is completely neutral. To 1-8 instead, he will draw a base on balls, and the inning will continue to Steve Lombardozzi, 8th man to bat in the lineup for the Twins. Lombardozzi, hello, Tim, good to see you. Lombardozzi hitting 299 on the replay, 2 homers, 15 driven in. He only hit 238 real world, but it's still kind of early, so. Lombardozzi, 5-6. That's another walk from Birkbeck, and now the 9th man to bat in the inning. And the Milwaukee bullpen is now loosening. Chris Bosio is the long man. So Chris Bosio loosening the bullpen. Birkbeck might not make it out of the first inning. Tim Laudner, the 9th man to bat in the inning for the Twins. On the replay, is hitting 274, 5 homers, 13 driven in. He only hit 191 real world, so he's been doing well. Bases loaded, 2 outs, 3 in. Birkbeck, 3-9, and that's a ground. Oh, he just, look at this, folks. 3-10 would have been a grand slam, but 3-9 is a ground ball to short. So Birkbeck stays in the game by 1 number. Had that been a 3-10, it would have been a grand slam. Instead, it's a ground ball to short. Twins get 3, but Birkbeck will stay in the game. But that could have been ultra disaster right there. Bad enough that the Twins got 3 runs, but if you're the Brewers, you have the offense, you can come back from that. But if they get 7, it's pretty much Katie bar the door. All right, so the Brewers now will have to regroup and see what they can do. Berenguer pretty impressive in his first inning of work. Here's B.J. Surhoff. He's hitting 309 on the replay, 2 homers, 9 driven in. He hit 299 real world. 6-6 left-handed. That's a 1-13 double, and that's a 3. So Surhoff with the double. Start things off. Back come the Brewers. Here's Greg Brock, first baseman. He's hitting 340 on the replay, 4 homers, 24 driven in. And he hit 299 real world. Berenguer to Brock. 1-4, and that's a fly ball center field B question mark. Surhoff has the opportunity to tag and go to third, but Puckett's a -4 arm in center, and you're down 3-0. So I don't think, and not like Surhoff is a speed merchant, so they will hold him there. Discretion being the better part of valor right there. Here's Jim Gantner, second baseman. Gantner on the replay hitting 280, no homers, 7 driven in. He hit 272 real world. That's a 1, so Berenguer's wild pitch rating is an 11. So 1 to 11. But he does not uncork the wild pitch. Tim Laudner is able to block it, so we'll drive on. 1-4 for Gantner. He's going to ground it right back to Berenguer, and that will freeze Surhoff at second base. And there's 2 away, and it's going to be up to Dale Swain in the clutch situation for the Brewers to get something done. In the clutch, Swain will gain a hit on 1-4 and 1-10. So he's got, and on 3-10. So he's got 3 different spots he can gain a hit on the clutch. On the replay, Swain hitting 317, 9 homers, 28 driven in. He hit 252 real world. 3-7 for Swain, and that's a strikeout, and that's going to end the inning. 4th strikeout for Berenguer. And what looked promising for the Brewers with that leadoff double came to nothing. We go to the bottom of the second, still 3-0 Twins. And Birkbeck will see if he can do a little bit better than he did in the first inning. He started out well, striking out Gladden to start the game, but then after that it was downhill. So Gladden will lead off once again. 3-4, that's a fly to right field, and Deere will make that play, 1 away. Basio has sat down as they're confident Birkbeck can come back and regroup. 1-7, that's a strikeout of Gagne. Strikeout number 2 for Birkbeck. But you will probably see Basio later at some point. Here's Kirby Puckett. 2-7 for Puckett. He struck him out. So Birkbeck, an amazing comeback in the second inning. Puts down the Twins 1-2-3. Trying to keep his team in the game. At the end of 2 complete, it's 3-0 favor of the Twins. Leading off will be Mike Felder, the left fielder. Felder on the replay is hitting 308. He's only had 13 at bats, though, a recent call up. He had 286 real world. 2-8 for Felder is a 1 triple. Anything else to be a single. So that's a leadoff single for Mike Felder. He's kind of a pseudo leadoff hitter in the 9 spot. And he'll be looking to see if he can get a lead. Remember, with Berenguer, it's a -1 on the hold. But he's got a total of 19 here, so it doesn't matter about the hold. If he can get the lead, he's going to go. And he gets the lead. 6 through 8 was the lead. He got a 7, so he's going. 19, being held to 17, -1's a 16. T rate on Surhoff is an 11. 1-16, and he's in there. Stolen base for Felder. Trying to jumpstart this Milwaukee offense. So Felder is at second base. Nobody out for Paul Molitor. Molitor, a strikeout victim his first time. 4-8, and he's going to be a strikeout victim again. That is the strikeout number 5 for Berenguer. Twice getting Molitor. Here's Robin Yount. Singled and stole the base his first time up. Whoa, we got a hop and dice. Let's re-roll that. 6-5, and that's 1-6 for a double. Anything else he flies out, that's just a deep fly to left field for out number 2. So now it's going to be up to Cecil Cooper in the clutch. Cooper, as a clutch hitter, pretty good. Look at this card. Gets a hit on 1-9, 1-10, and 2-8, and 2-12. So 4 and 3-5. So there's 5 different hits that he obtains in the clutch. So an excellent clutch hitter, according to Strat-O-Matic, is Cecil Cooper in this 87 season. 2-9, however, he missed it. 2-8 would have been a clutch hit. 2-9 to pop out to Herbeck. And that will end the inning. So it's a good clutch hitter, but didn't find the clutch result in this particular play. So he will be retired And so will the Brew Crew. After 3 innings, Berenguer, 3 shutout innings for Juan Berenguer. And bottom of the third we go, and it's going to be Herbeck, Gaetti, and Larkin due up for the Twins. 4-11, and that's a ground ball pitcher X. Birkbeck is a 2 E33. Computer tells me he's a 2 range, and the card tells me he's an E33. 2 and a 20. Obviously, the range is not going to matter when you roll a 20. You could be a 5, and it doesn't matter. You roll a 20, you're making the play. So we go to the pitcher chart. Even a 20, if you're a 5, you get the G1s. So we know he's going to get to it. It's a 10, and he is an E33. E33, there's a 10. There's very rarely 10s for errors, but this one, in the pitcher, when you get this high up in the error range, the 10 will find you. So Birkbeck boots it. E1. And that's not going to bode well for Birkbeck. Should have had an easy out there. Here's Gary Gaetti. He needs a double play is what Birkbeck needs. That's a 1. His wild pitch rating is a 9. That's a 3, so you can kiss the double play goodbye as he uncorks the wild pitch. So much for the double play, unless it's a low max. We get a 3-4, and that's a ground ball third base A, and that would have been a double play without the wild pitch, but Birkbeck really just costing him right there. That wild pitch cost him an extra out for sure. All right, here is Gene Larkin, designated hitter. He doubled his first time. Another wild pitch chance. Birkbeck's a 9. No wild pitch this time. 5-5 switch hitter batting left is a ground ball second base C. That'll get the runner to third, but now there are 2 outs. So it's going to take a 2-out hit most likely, unless there's an error of some sort. And that would have to come from Tom Brunansky, the right fielder. In the clutch, Brunansky. Gotta love scam calls coming in. Get off of there. All right. So Brunansky in the clutch. Looks like he's neutral. I don't see. Oh, I'm sorry. He loses a hit on 1-2. Otherwise, he's neutral. Birkbeck to Brunansky. 3-6, and that's a strikeout, and that will end the inning. Third strikeout for Birkbeck. So Birkbeck is hung in there after that first inning debacle. He's keeping the game close and saving their bullpen at least. And if it's his last game of the season, you might milk him for all he's worth. So here's Berenguer back out, and he'll be facing Deere, Surhoff, and Brock. Time for more coffee before it gets cold. All right, here is Deere. 110. That's a strikeout. Strikeout number 6 for Juan Berenguer. He's gotten Deere twice. 1 away, and here comes Surhoff. He doubled his first time up, but was never even made it to third base, much less scored. 4-7, left-handed, is a ground ball second base X. We're looking at Lombardozzi. He's a 2E18. 2 and a 1. That's going to get that double die shows up, so that will be a base hit for Surhoff. That's a 14 as a second baseman. E18 and a 14. E18. There's a 13 there, but no 14. So fortunately for the Twins, there won't be an error to add on top of it, but there will be a single to add on top of it. Surhoff could try to get the lead, but he gets picked off on a 10, 11, or 12. So that could be dangerous right there. And if he got the lead with that -1, it'd be a 1-12, and you're down 3-0. So I think they're going to hold Surhoff there. And here comes Greg Brock. 4-9, and that's a ground ball second base C. That'll get the runner to second base, but now there are 2 outs. And it's going to be all up to Jim Gantner in the clutch. See what Gantner can do in the clutch. In the clutch, Gantner loses a hit on 110, and that's it. Everywhere else he's neutral. It's a a 6-6 though, and that's going to be a base hit. That's going to bring home the first run. 1 to 13 is a double. That is a 13. 2-star double. Would have been a single 2-star, so the run would have scored either way. But the Brew Crew are on the board with a RBI double from Jim Gantner. Cut the lead to 3-1. Give his team some life. And now the tying run comes to the plate, and Dale Swain, shortstop. So it looked like it was going to be a Twins blowout, but now all of a sudden we might have a game on our hands. 3-1. Twins still lead it. Dale Swain steps to the plate in another clutch situation. In the clutch, he gains a hit on 110 and 1-4 and on 310. So again, he's got 3 positive shots on the clutch result. It's a 2-4 though, and he's going to ground it to Lombardozzi at second to end the inning. But the Brew Crew finally get on the board. Sometimes that first run's the hardest one to get, and they get it and break the ice on the 0 there. So we go to the bottom of the 4th, 3-1 now, favor the Twins. Birkbeck facing Lombardozzi, Laudner, and Gladden. Those are the scheduled hitters. And a happy Friday to everybody. Hope if you have any weekend plans, I hope they go well for you. Football, whatever it happens to be. World Series tonight, of course. All right, here is Lombardozzi. 1-6 for Lombardozzi. Ground ball to short, 1 away. I know Nate Snell is starting for the Dodgers. I don't know who Toronto's starter is going to be. I don't know if it's going to be Gosman or somebody else. All right, here is Tim Laudner. 4-6, and that's a single to left field for Tim Laudner. He does not run well, will not be held. And here comes Gladden. He's 0 for 2 in the leadoff position. Dan Gladden. 3-9 for Gladden. It's a ground ball shortstop B, so it's just a fielder's choice. But now Gladden, the much better runner, is on base, and he might be looking to swipe second. We'll have to take a look. Gladden 4 through 6 will get him the lead. He gets the 6. He's going to go. He's an 18, being held as a 16, but the +2 brings it back to an 18. 1 to 18, he steals it, and he does. Stolen base for Gladden. He's in scoring position now with 2 outs. Turns this into a clutch situation for Gagne. In the clutch for Gagne, he will lose a hit on 2-8 and on 3-8. 1-8 is going to be very good, but if he gets an 8, he better have a 1, because the 2 and the 3 is going to cost him a hit. If those 2d6s add up to 8. It's a 6-11 though, and that's a ballpark single, and that's almost gold at the Metrodome. That's a 13, and it's a 6. It's only 1 star though, so Gladden can only go to second base or third base. So runners at the corners now with 2 outs. And you could run Gagne, but you would take the bat out of Puckett's hand, so I don't think they want to do that. They're going to have Puckett up there in the clutch. Although Puckett is a terrible clutch hitter according to Strat-O-Matic. He's got 3 outs here in column 1. 1-2, 1-7, and 1-8 are all outs in clutch situation. That's a 2, so a chance of a balk or pass ball. That's a chance for a balk on Birkbeck, but he's a 0 balk rating. So here's Puckett. 2-7, and that's a strikeout for Puckett. That's going to end the inning. So Puckett bails in the clutch. We go to the 5th. It's still 3-1. Brewers hanging in there, and so is Birkbeck. Here's Berenguer. He'll be facing the bottom of the order, Felder, and then the top of the order, Molitor and Yount. So good speed if they get him on base. Savage is starting. Okay. That's cool. That is cool. I know Will Little will be behind the plate. They're doing an interesting thing with the umpires where they have 7 umpires instead of 6. And the guy who's off takes the plate the next day. That way they have 7 different umpires at home plate. No umpire gets 2 games at home plate. It's only 1 game. So Adrian Johnson, who is going to be off tonight, he would get the plate in game 2. and then they rotate, and then whoever's, I guess, in the right field line or whatever probably gets off the next day, and he would get to play the next day. That's the way they're working at. Yeah, we've got 3 more weeks of high school football before the regular season starts. We got tonight, and of course, next Friday's Halloween. That's kind of a weird night to have high school. I won't be going on that day. My friend and I, my friend I usually go with, he wants to be home to give out candy to the kids and stuff. We don't get kids coming to our neighborhood. We're kind of off the beaten path, but he wants to be home, so I'll be home next Friday night for Halloween. And then on November the 5th or 6th or whatever date that Friday is the last regular season game. And then, of course, you got a couple, playoffs and so forth. Or as Jim Mora would say, playoffs. All right, here's Felder. 4-8, switch hitter batting left. That's a strikeout for Berenguer, and that is strikeout number 7 for Juan Berenguer. He's pitching himself a heck of a game here in a spot start. Here's Paul Molitor. He has struck out twice. 1-6, and that's a 1-5 triple. That's a 20. It'll be a double for Paul Molitor as he finally gets off to Schneid. Molitor the double, and that'll bring up Robin Yount. Yount is 1 for 2. 110, and that is a ballpark blast for Robin Yount. 1-11, but that's a 19. So double die kind of cost him on that one. Just a deep fly to left. The other thing about high school football this time of year is starting to get cold. So, not that I mind the cold too badly, but if you can see your breath, that's a little bit rough. So, we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. Let's see. Cecil Cooper, the batter, in the clutch for Cooper. He's a good clutch hitter. We've already seen that. He gets 2 hits right here, and 1 right over here, and 1 right there. So, there's 4 hits he gains in the clutch as a clutch hitter. 4-4, though, is going to come off the Berenguer card. Fly to center. That's Puckett. He's a 1. You know he's going to get it with a 1. We are checking the E6. And for a center fielder, the only errors on E6 are 3, 4, 15, and 18. And that's a 5. It's a rare play. A rare play. So now I'm going to need to roll the D20 to see if it's an F1, F2, or F3. That's an 8. So that is an F2. So it's an F2 rare play, but I think since that's the 3rd out, I don't think the rare play chart's going to make a difference on this. I could be wrong, but I will see. F2 with runner on 3rd and less than 2 outs. Well, that takes that away already. Runner attempts to score, runner barrels into the catcher in a violent collision. Both runner and catcher are ejected for fighting, but that doesn't come up because there's less, there's 2 outs already. So it's fly to ball to Puckett, and that will end the inning. So that's going to end it here. It was like, I think they said overnight, this morning, I think when I woke up this morning, I didn't wake up at 6, but at 6 o'clock, it was like 39 degrees outside. So good day for coffee for sure. I think we're in the time of the year now where the daytime temperatures are pretty good in the 60s, but at night it gets to the 40s and 30s. But there'll come a day eventually where the high temperature, if you get a 45-degree day, you think you're balmy because it's going to be below freezing the whole day. So I know those days are coming. All right, so, whoops. Just had Birkbeck there. So it's, just had Berenguer. So it's Birkbeck coming out for his fatigue inning. He is fatigue inning number 5. He's going to face Herbeck, Gaetti, and Larkin. Here is Herbeck, 6'3", and that's a fly ball right field X. We're checking Rob Deere. He's a 3E10. 3-15, he'll get to it. The E10 is the question mark. That's an 11, and he's an E10. E10, there's a lot of numbers here, but 11 is not one of them, but certainly 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18 are there, and then the 3 and the 4. So in the middle, you're fine, and that's where he found himself, is in a middle number, and he makes the catch. I don't know how Strat picks those numbers, but I guess there's some formula they use, and I just trust their formula. So here's Gary Gaetti, 2-4, and that's a ballpark single check, 1-13, but that's a 17, so he does not get it. He will pop it up to second base for out number 2. And that'll send us to Gene Larkin. 1-6, and that's a strikeout to end the inning. And for Birkbeck, that is his 5th strikeout. And he actually has full endurance to continue because he gave up nothing in his endurance inning. So Birkbeck may come back out. Basio still kind of tossing down there, so we could see Basio as well. But then again, it's Birkbeck's last start of the year, so they might try to milk him for all they can get. All right, here's Rob Deere. This is the fatigue inning for Berenguer as he is a 6. Deere is 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts, 5-7. Ground ball second base X, Lombardozzi, 2 E18. 2 and a 12, he'll get to it. The E18 and a 12 at second base. E18, there's a 13, but no 12. So good play for Lombardozzi. And he should be getting those true hops off the AstroTurf, so shouldn't be any problem there. And I know I'm in the minority on this, but I miss baseball games on AstroTurf. I used to like that. There's some quaintness about it and brings back memories. But of course, you don't have those anymore. Of course, back in the day, we were complaining about the AstroTurf and cookie cutter stadiums and all that kind of stuff. Metrodome, of course, had the baggie out there in right field, but I thought it had personality. But anyway, here's Surhoff, 6-11, and that's a base on balls. First thing against Berenguer, and I believe that's his first walk. He has struck out 7, but that's his first walk of the game for Berenguer. And let's see, Surhoff is, again, not going to go anywhere. Here's Greg Brock. That's a 5-11, and that's a ballpark blast for Brock. 1-11. That's a 10. It's gone. Greg Brock has made this a tie ball game. Look at it again. 5-11 is a ballpark blast, and it's a 1-11. That's a 10, and Brock has normal power. Greg Brock has just tied this game, and now the Twins bullpen starts to scurry. And for Brock, that is his 5th home run of the replay. RBI's 25 and 26. He had 13 home runs real world. This was at bat 150 for him. And he had 532 in at-bats. So we're tied at 3 now, thanks to the home run off the bat of Greg Brock. One more base runner, and Berenguer will be tired. And let's see who's coming up here. They got a lot of lefties and switches, but the Twins only have one lefty in the bullpen. That's the Colonel Joe Klink. So I think they're probably looking at Keith Atherton loosening in the bullpen for the Twins if Berenguer can't finish. So here's Gantner. 3-5, and that's a ground ball to first. Herbeck will take it, 2 down. At this point, they're just trying to get Berenguer through 6 innings because he is a spot starter, as they say. So he only made 6 starts in the season. This is start number 2 for him. So here's Dale Swain, 1-11, and that is a split chance. 1-3 is a single. That is a 3. So Dale Swain gets a 2-out single. And now I believe Berenguer has reached fatigue, and the computer confirms it. But they're going to try to get him through the final. They want to get him out of the inning. They don't want to have to bring in Atherton right now if they can avoid it. So they're going to leave him in there, which is not tragic. But if he does find, with Felder coming up, if he finds these 2 results here with the dots, they turn from strikeouts to base hits. So you've got to be aware of that. Swain is no threat to run, so he will not be held. So Berenguer to Felder. That's a 3-9 for Felder. He lines it out to Herbeck, and that's going to end the inning, and that will do it for the day for Berenguer. He can still win it if the Twins take the lead in the bottom half of the inning. Otherwise, it ain't going to work. I was 1 inning behind on my line score here. We're actually in the 6th inning, aren't we? And I put a 0 down there just by habit. Of course, the 2-run homer for Brock has tied the game. So Felder lines out to first base, and that will do it. We go to the box score and get the final line on Berenguer and see what he's done. He's going to go 6 innings, give up 8 hits, 3 runs. They were all earned. Walked 1, struck out 7. He will either get a no decision, or if the Twins take the lead and hold it in the bottom of the 6th, he'll get the win and would improve to 2-0. Birkbeck so far, 5 innings pitched, 6 hits, 3 runs, 2 walks, and 6 strikeouts. And boys, they're tempted just to go ahead and, I think they're going to do it. They're going to go ahead and pull Birkbeck. They just don't trust Birkbeck. They're going to Chris Bosio out of the bullpen. And Bosio has a relief rating of 3, so he can pitch some serious innings if need be. So Bosio is on. Birkbeck's going to go 5 innings, give up 6 hits, 3 runs. They were earned. 2 walks and 6 strikeouts. Bosio, a +1 hold, so he becomes a +1. And so Bosio will be facing Brunansky, Lombardozzi, and Laudner to start the bottom of the 6th. Birkbeck is an official no decision. He no longer is in the running for a decision. So we'll get the numbers on Bosio and see what he can do. Bosio, 0-0 with 2 saves, a 6.55 earned run average. He had a 5.24 real world. 22 innings pitched, 31 hits, 7 walks, and 22 strikeouts. So Bosio against Brunansky, 5-3, and that's a ground ball first base C. So Brock will field it, flip to Bosio covering. It's 3-1 if you're scoring at home, and you know you should be. 1 away for Lombardozzi. 1-3, and he's hit by the pitch. So Bosio, second battery faces, he plunks Lombardozzi. I'm sure he'd want to do that and put Lombardozzi on. Lombardozzi, not much of a threat to steal, though, so he will just stay where he is. Here's Tim Laudner. He will not be held on. 5-8, and that's a strikeout for Bosio. His first strikeout. And that'll flip the order over to Dan Gladden, who is 0 for 3. Does have a stolen base, but he is 0 for 3. Bosio to Gladden. 3-3 tie here in the bottom of the 6th. That's a 3-11, and that's going to be a ground ball to third. Molitor will take care of it. And we played 6 at the Metrodome. We're tied at 3 apiece. And the Twins will go to a new pitcher in the form of Keith Atherton. And we'll get the numbers on Atherton on the replay. Atherton, well, first of all, we'll get his real world numbers for Keith Atherton. In the 87 season, he was 7-5 with a 4.54 ERA and 2 saves. In the replays, 1-4 with 2 saves and a 6.91 earned run average. 27 innings pitched, 27 hits, 9 walks, 23 strikeouts. So he pitched 79 innings real world, gave up 81 hits, which is about a hit an inning, and that's what he's doing in the replay, 1 hit per inning. So top of the order we go, Paul Molitor, Robin Yount, and Cecil Cooper against Keith Atherton. And we'll check Atherton's hold rating. He is a 0, and so is Laudner, so he is a net 0 on the catcher-pitcher hold. So here's Molitor. 6-8, and that's trouble. 1-2 is a double. 3-20 is a single. That's a 7. It'll be a base hit for Paul Molitor. Base hit for Molitor, and he'll be looking to run. He needs a 4, 5, or 6 to get the lead, but he can't quite get it, so he will hold, and that'll bring up Robin Yount. Yount is an A bunter, but he's too good of a hitter to bunt, so we're going to have him swing away. 6-3, and that's a fly ball right field X. We're looking at Brunansky. He's a 2-E4. 2-5. Interesting, but I think he'll get to it. 2-5 he does, and that's a 15, and he's an E4. E4, there's a 15 there on the E4. A 2-base error on Tom Brunansky. Looks like Tom Brunansky should have been watching videos by Tom Emansky. because he couldn't make the play. It's a two-base error. That's going to put runners at second and third. Well, I gave him a double. That was dumb. He didn't get a double. It's a two-base error. E9. Two-base error, E9. So Tom Brunansky should have been watching the Tom Emansky videos because it obviously didn't pay off for him here, as he just bungled that one big time. Not Atherton's fault by any means, but he may be paying the price for it. So it doesn't look, well, obviously now Baron Garrett, since they didn't score here, he's got a no decision as well. So the infield's coming in for Cecil Cooper. They're going to play in. 3-10 for Cooper, and that is a split chance. 1-3 is a single as he lines to second. So a line drive right to Lombardozzi for one away, and the runners have to hold. And here is Rob Deere. He is a strikeout waiting to happen. Infield still in, of course. 6-7. Ground ball second base X. We're looking at Lombardozzi. He's a 2E18. 2 and a 4. That could be problems. 2 and a 4. 2 and a 4, and that's going to get through for a base hit. You got that pound sign there. So that would have been a ground out, but instead with the infield in, it's a single 2 stars. And that'll get through on the AstroTurf. It'll sneak right through. And it's a 2-run lead now for the Brewers. They've come all the way back to take a 5-3 lead on Atherton. These runs are, at least one of them is unearned. Possibly both could be unearned by the end of the day. We shall see. But it's a 2-base error. I'm sorry, it's a single because of the infield being in, I should say. And let's see here, 15, and he is a 18. There's no 15, there's a 13, but no 18, or no 15 rather. So it's a 2-run single for Rob Deere, and the Brewers lead it 5-3. Runner out first, and only one out. Surhoff, your batter. He's been on base all 3 times, single, double, and a walk. It's a 5-7, and that's another single. He keeps his perfect day going. First and second, nobody out, or one out, and Atherton's having all kinds of problems. Here's Greg Brock. That's a 1. We'll check the wild pitch rating on Atherton. Atherton, wild pitch is a 3. And no wild pitch. Here's Brock. 6-10, and that's an in-home run chance, 1-15, and that's gone, and so was Atherton. Second home run of the game for Brock. Another home run. He had a 2-run homer in the 6th, and now a 3-run homer here in the 7th, courtesy of the Metrodome. And the Brewers have come all the way back from down 3-0. They now are blowing away the Twins 7-3. Well, not really blowing them away. Actually, it's 8-3. 5 runs this inning. So this run is earned now because of what happened here. So there's only 1 unearned run. 5 runs, 4 earned off of Atherton in 1/3 of an inning pitched. Talk about getting clubbed. 4 hits. And they will need relief help in the worst way. Probably came 1 batter too late. Maybe they should have brought somebody in before he faced Brock. But Greg Brock, the 3-run homer, is now 8-3. And now the Twins will go to their bullpen again. And they will go to George Frazier. Actually, no, they won't. They're going to go to Mark Portugal. He was taken out of the starting rotation because he was struggling. So now he's going to come in basically as mop-up duty. He's got the relief rating that he could pitch the rest of the game. So Mark Portugal will be coming in relief for the Twins. And we'll get the numbers on Portugal. Portugal on the replay. Well, first of all, real world. Portugal was 1-3 with a 7.77 earned run average. In the replay, he's 2-5 with a 5.94 earned run average. 36 hits, 36 innings pitched, 45 hits, 26 walks, and 28 strikeouts. And he will be facing Jim Gantner. Portugal is in, and he is a +9. But with the score being 8-3, I don't think Milwaukee's going to be worried about running right now. Here's Gantner. 2-7 for Gantner, and he's going to get a base hit. So the Brewers just pounding the Twins now. And not to the pleasant sight of the Yankees and Blue Jays. With the win here, the Brewers will tie the Yankees back for first place in the East, with the Blue Jays being 1 game back. And here's Swain. 5-7, switch hitter. Ground ball second base X. We're looking at Lombardozzi at 2E18. 2-12 might be a double play chance. Could be a G1. 2-12 is a G1. That's an 11, and he's an E18. I don't think there was an 11 there. I think there was a 13 there, and it was. So it will be a double play, 4-6-3, a little bit like closing the barn door after the horses have left. And it's a 5-run inning with the Brew Crew, capped off by the Greg Brock 3-run homer. And we are going to the 7th inning stretch. And Chris Bosio now looking to get what they call a vulture win, where you vulture a win from somebody. That was a term they used to use back in the day. I don't know if they call that a vulture win anymore, but it used to be called a vulture win. There were guys in the big leagues that specialized in vulture wins. They'd be in the bullpen, but their record would be like 10-2 or something. So anyway, we're at the 7th inning stretch, and that means take me out to the ball game because I got to heat my coffee. So, you got to take care of the priorities here. And coffee is definitely a priority. So while I go heat my coffee, you all can take a little mental break or whatever while we take me out to the ball game. All right, we are back and ready to continue. Here in the bottom of the 7th. Leading off for the Twins will be Greg Gagne. 2-8 for Gagne, and that's a single. So Gagne leads off with a base hit. Don't count the Twins out just yet. He will be held, but he won't go anywhere down 8-3. And here comes Kirby Puckett. Puckett, 1 for 3, 2-8, and he's going to ground ball to short. What a double play. 6-4-3 double play. And boy, Kirby Puckett has been a rally killer in this one for sure. Struck out in the clutch here with a couple guys on, and now he gets into a double play to thwart a potential rally. And here's Kent Hrbek. Hrbek, 6'4", and that is a ground ball third base X. We're looking at Molitor, 4E22 for Molitor. 4-19, he'll get to that easily. That's a 14. He's an E22. There's a 14 right here, so it's a one-base error on Paul Molitor. He's there for his hitting, not for his fielding. So it's a one-base error on Molitor. Second error of the game on the Brew Crew. Minnesota has only had one. And here's Gary Gaetti. Keeps the inning going. "5-8, and that's a strikeout by Basio. He puts a kibosh on any thoughts of a second rally. And we go to the 8th inning with the score 8-3 in favor of the Brew Crew. Portugal back out. His job is just to eat these last 2 innings and save the rest of their bullpen, not have to use Reardon or Klink if they can avoid it, or Frazier. Keep those guys fresh for the next game. So here's Felder. 5-9, and that's an in-home run chance, 1-5. That's an 18. It'll be a double. Good thing he had weak power, so he actually gets a benefit by dropping down to the double slot. And that's a leadoff double for Felder. For the Brew Crew, that's 14 hits they've now pounded out to go with their 8 runs. So while Berenguer had them kind of stifled in the beginning, the last 2 innings, they've really put on their hitting shoes. Here's Molitor. He is 2 for 4. 4-8, and that's going to be 3 for 5 right here. 1-13 is a double. That's a 12 RBI double for Paul Molitor. Back-to-back doubles. It is now 9-3, and this one's getting ugly. I would say early, but it's not early anymore in the 8th inning. It's getting ugly big time. But it looks like Mark Portugal is the sacrificial lamb here. He's going to just have to be out there, and whatever happens, happens. 2-5 is a single, and the Brewers will be nice and cap Molitor at third base and not try to push the issue, particularly with Kirby Puckett and -4 in center field. So runners at the corners, nobody out. Here's Cecil Cooper. They're back for the double play. They need outs. The infield is irrelevant at this point. They need outs. 5-9, and it's not going to matter where the infield is. 1-5 is a home run. That's the double die shows up. And Cecil Cooper, a 3-run shot for Cecil Cooper. And the Brewers are talking about flexing their muscles. And we might see a position player come in to pitch in this game. Very, very likely could see that. Cooper, home run for Cecil Cooper. 3-run shot for Cooper. And if we look at Cooper now, home run for Cooper, he had 6 real world. That's his 5th home run. In only 102 at-bats, he had 250 at-bats. He had 6 home runs. He's got 5 home runs and 102 at-bats in the replay. So he is really taking it on. 12-3 now. The drubbing is officially on. 3-6 for Deere, and you can count on a Deere strikeout to help you, though. He gets the hat trick with his 3rd strikeout of the game. And here's B.J. Surhoff. It's a 6-8, and that's a single to right field for Surhoff. And Surhoff has reached base all 5 times. 3 singles, a double, and a walk. I think he's had a good game. Huh? All right. Here's Greg Brock, and of course he had the 2-run homer in the 6th and a 3-run homer in the 7th. Brock now. 3-9 for Brock, and that's a base hit, 2 stars. So that will move the runner to third base. Surhoff will move to third. Runners at the corners. Still only 1 out. Good potential they will bat around this inning. Mark Portugal looking in the dugout, but Tom Kelly says keep pitching. Infield back for the double play. 2-8 for Gantner, and they get that double play. 4-6-3 to end the inning mercifully. It's a 4-score Abraham Lincoln inning. And we go to the bottom of the 8th. It is now 12-3. And the few fans that were still left at the Metrodome have since departed to beat the traffic. So due up for the Twins will be Gene Larkin, followed by Bernansky and Lombardozzi. 3-8 for Larkin is going to be a fly to center, and that's 1 away. One out for Larkin. And here comes Brunansky. Tom Brunansky. 5-4. And that's a fly to left. 2 down. And that'll send up Steve Lombardozzi. 3-8. And that's a ground ball to third. Molitor will take care of it. 1-2-3 inning for Basio. And we talk about your fortunes changing after 1 inning. Minnesota led 3-0, but we've had 12 unanswered runs from the Brew Crew. Portugal going to come back out and take his punishment. And Dale Swain, the batter. That's a 2-10 for Swain. He's going to ground it right back to Portugal. 1 away for Mike Felder. 6-4, switch hitter batting left. That's a ballpark blast, but he has weak power. 1-11, that's a 20. Doesn't matter anyway. He flies to right field. We're out number 2. That'll bring up Mahler. He's had a great day. He has doubled twice, singled after striking out the first 2 times, but he will not hit. They will actually bring up a pinch hitter and a defensive replacement in this blowout game. So they will use, to get him an at bat, they will use Rick Manning to bat, and they will bring on, who will they come on to play third base? They don't really have any good defensive third baseman. They have Gantner, who's decent. So they will bring on Juan Castillo. So we're going to have Manning pinch hit for Molitor. And Manning will stay in the game to play right field for Deere. Or, no, I'm sorry, he'll play left field for Felder. So Manning will pinch hit in the 9th and play left field in the 9th. Castillo will come on, and he will play third base in Molitor's spot. I'm sorry, in Felder's spot, because Manning's going to play left field and be in Molitor's spot, and Castillo will be here. So Castillo, third base, will be here, and Manning, left field, will be there. So we're going to have Manning lead off, or not lead off, but hit here with 2 outs and the bases clear. Rick Manning will bring him on, give Paul Molitor the rest of the game off. So Manning, like I said, needs some, give a guy in a bat here or there just to keep him fresh. So Rick Manning on the replay is hitting .304 in 23 at bats. No homers, 2 driven in. He hit 228 real world. That's a 1-8 for Manning. He grounds to first, and that will end the inning. So Portugal throws a 0 out there, amazingly. Takes care of that. And now we'll go to the computer and put in these defensive changes. Castillo will take over at third, in bat in the 9 position formerly held by Felder. And Manning will stay in the game to play left field, batting leadoff. And we go to the box score and get the final numbers on Portugal. 2 2/3 for Portugal. 7 hits, 4 runs. No walks and a strikeout. So not very great there, huh? Milwaukee comes in and pounds 19 hits to go with their 12 runs. 12 and 19 for the Brewers as they just took it to the Twins starting in the 7th inning. The last 2, 7th and 8th innings, just been disastrous. Basio has gone 3 innings, and he would qualify for the win So they're going to go ahead and bring in a new pitcher. Just no reason to wear out Bosio. Might as well bring in somebody that needs some work out of the bullpen. So we'll look at the Brewer bullpen and see who they've got. On this game, Bosio 3 innings, giving up just the 1 hit and no runs. Well-deserved victory for Bosio. So we'll go to the bullpen for the top of or the bottom of the ninth and see who the Brewers want to bring in. They've got to have somebody here that needs some work. Let's see about maybe not him. Let's see about Clear. Clear's Actually, the guy that needs the work is Plesac, but it's kind of weird to bring in Plesac in a game like this. So I think we'll bring in Mark Clear instead. So Mark Clear coming on, and he will face Laudner, Gladden, and Gagne unless there is a pinch hitter. Could be a pinch hitter for Laudner, just to give somebody on the Twins a free whack at it. Probably Roy Smalley. So they're going to have Roy Smalley pinch hit for Laudner. And Smalley will be facing Clear. Smalley on the replay. Almost exclusively a designated hitter, but he did play the infield some at third and short. But in the replay, he is hitting .284, 2 homers, 17 driven in. Mark Clear on the replay, 2-1 with 1 save and a 0.82 earned run average. 22 innings pitched, 12 hits, 11 walks, 27 strikeouts. He's been well exceeding his numbers because he had a 4.48 ERA real world, but he has just been lights out in this replay. So here's Smalley against Clear, 4-3, switch hitter batting left. Ground ball first base X. We're looking at Brock, 3E10 for Brock. 3 and a 10. He will get to that. And that is a total of 11. So an E10. But there's an 11 right there. So Brock will commit the error. And that's the third error on the Brewers. The E10 and the 11. It's right there. So Brock boots it. And Smalley will reach on the E3. So that's the one thing the Brewers haven't been doing well. This game is fielding. But it hasn't cost them. So now we go back to the top of the order for Dan Gladden, with Smalley at first base. Clear, a little bit fuddled why Brock couldn't make that play. Here's Gladden. 4-8, and that's a walk from Clear. So that's going to put runners at first and second for Greg Gagne. Gagne's had a good day, 3 for 4 with a home run. .17, and that's a strikeout. Big strikeout there for Clear to thwart any potential thoughts of a comeback. They bring up Puckett, and he's done nothing the whole game. He did lead off single, or did get a single in the first, but after that, he has struck out twice and hit into a double play. 6-3, and that's going to be a ground ball pitcher X. Clear is a E19 with a range of 2. So he's a 2E19 for Clear. 2 and a 19, that's a possible double play to end the ball game. And he is an E19, and that's an 8. E19, there's no 8. There's a 9 there, but no 8. And so the 19 with the 2 is a G1, and that's going to do it. Puckett will hit into yet another double play. It's going to go 1-4-3. To end the ball game. So Puckett has a rough outing here. His last strikes out twice and hits into 2 double plays. And talk about having a bad day, maybe checking out. I don't know. Maybe he checked out of this game. Walk and a strikeout, nothing else. So that will do it for this May 28th date. And we'll get a wrap up on this ball game, wrap up all the stats, winners and losers and so forth. So the Twins drop to 22-24. Brewers go to 28-14, back into a first place tie. Final line score, 12 runs, 19 hits, and 3 errors for the Brewers. For the Twins, 3 runs, 7 hits, and 1 error. Losing pitcher is going to be Keith Atherton. He is now 1-5. Talk about somebody struggling. He is 1-5. Basio gets the win. He gets his first decision. He's now 1-0. And player of the game, obviously, Greg Brock. 2-run homer in the 6th and a 3-run homer in the 7th. So Greg Brock, your player of the game. Chris Berman called him Greg Crocodile Brock. So there he is, Greg Brock, your player of the game. All right, so this afternoon around 1:30, 2 o'clock maybe, sometime between 1 and 2, I'm not sure when, we'll have the National League May 28th game of the day, which will be Atlanta and St. Louis. Rick Mailer against Tim Conroy from Busch Stadium. Get to see the pitchers hit for a change. And then as we look ahead to next week on Monday, we'll look at the schedule for the May 29th block of games in this American League replay. We got new opponents starting on Friday. New series are starting up all over the place. No team is in the same spot they were before. And again, we're going to try to go east to west if possible. Starting out, and I may play this one offline because it's not a very good game, because there are 7 games, and I want to play the 5 during the week. So I'm going to probably pick 2 of these games to play offline for games that don't factor into any kind of playoffs or anything like that, or standings or whatnot. So the first game normally would be scheduled as Seattle and Baltimore. May play that one offline over the weekend. Next game scheduled on the East Coast is the Yankees in Oakland. Got to play that one because they're the 2 first place teams. Kurt Young against Dennis Rasmussen. That'll be the game on Monday from Yankee Stadium. Oakland at the Yankees. Then probably on Tuesday, you're looking at California and Toronto. That's Don Sutton against Dave Stieb. And then on Wednesday, we are looking at Minnesota at Detroit. And that's going to be Les Straker against Walt Terrell. And then on Thursday, we're probably looking at Cleveland for, actually Thursday would be Detroit because we're going east to west, so Cleveland's further east. So actually on Wednesday, it's Milwaukee and Cleveland, Teddy Aguirre and Ken Schramm. And then on Friday, we're looking at ID Jester's favorite pitcher, Mark Gubaza, as the Texas Rangers take on the Kansas City Royals. And Boston playing Chicago and Seattle playing Baltimore are probably the 2 games I'm going to play offline. And then that way keep the other 5 for the next week. So that's tentatively what we're going to do. But it looks like Monday is going to be Yankees in Oakland, Kurt Young against Dennis Rasmussen. That's on Monday morning around 9 o'clock. But this afternoon, if you're so interested in National League Baseball for 1987, we will be playing the Atlanta Braves and the St. Louis Cardinals from Busch Stadium. It's the only game scheduled on May 28th. So that's the one we're going to be going for. And again, it's going to be Rick Mailer against Tim Conroy. I did check. I do have a Tim Conroy card. He was carded with the 87 set. I think I have the extra players. So he was carded in that. So we're good there. And then the National League game to be played next week, we're picking a May 29th game from the National League. And of all the games that are out there, the game that sticks out the best to me to play, looking at what they have out there, we are looking at the Mets and the Padres. Ron Darling against Dave Dravecky. That will be the game next Friday in the National League. And I'll let the computer sim the rest of them. So that's the tentative schedule. Of course, tomorrow around noon, we're looking at Game 1 of the World Series on History Maker Baseball. I'm going to replay the game from tonight using the exact lineups, and I'm going to try to use the same bullpen order if it makes sense in the game. As long as it makes sense in the game, I'll use it. And I'll try to, limit the pitchers to what they did in the starting pitchers to the innings that they get in the real game. Try to keep it as realistic as possible because I want to see how History Maker replicates I mean, a lot of history makers, a lot of their selling point is you create your own history, but sometimes I like to go back and use it just to test the game engine and see how it does. So we're going to see how it does when you put in all the factors in the experiment. The experiment's going to be all the same. We're going to have the same data. I'm not going to have any of my biases in there. It's going to be strictly what they did in real world with the real managers. So that's what we're going to try and see what happens. So I do thank you all for spending part of your Friday morning with me. I probably need to go heat my coffee again and probably grab a bite to eat for breakfast. I haven't had breakfast yet, so I'll probably get some oatmeal or something simple as a snack. I do have to go to the store this morning or later this morning for the weekly supplies that we need. Always fun to hit Wally World on a Friday. So we'll see what happens later on in this World Series. I'll certainly be tuning in to see what happens. I've been told by Tim that Yasavage is going to start for Toronto against Nate Snell. So that'll be game one at the Rogers Center. And that's tonight, I think at 8 o'clock or 8:05 or some weird time they like to start. But until next time, enjoy playing whatever game you choose to play, however you choose to play it. And I will see you all down the road.